choose to only think of thoughts. I choose to only think kind thoughts. I choose to only think right thoughts. Rumor time reflects. When my mind is upset, I can change my mindset. Do not be thrown offset. Rumor time.
The RUMERTIME process, and I came across this quote: behind every behavior is a belief.
Whatever setting you go to, whether you're at church, whether you're at school, whether you maybe have
I was able to analyze a little bit more.
Bringing about real positive
in order
changes.
For me to be effective, I have to be reflective. And this training
I gather an appreciation for reflecting. And I
take it from just something that's inside to getting it in a tangible form, getting it out from
fulfilling and rewarding to see the kids who coming and they see growth in them. They became more reflective in their thinking, to see children grow and not just see but to be a part of it.
What I have learned in camp about RUMERTIME is that it's a process for solving problems we face in our lives.
A lot of my stress, and then I begin to enjoy and spend time on the things that really make me happy.
I recommend this training to all age, from kindergarten.
Before you do that thing that you'll regret, or say that thing.
If you breathe and think, you should have this training. I would recommend this to everyone.
Well, hello, good people. Hello, those in the land of the World Wide Web. Welcome. Thank you all for coming. I am Dr. Yvonne Murray-Laria. I am one of the hosts of the Access RUMERTIME Conversations. This is
And hello, everyone. I am Dr. Geneva Fleming, as always, bringing you greetings from South Carolina. And in addition, I want to say today, happy Social Work Month to all the social workers across the globe. You are doing exactly what the theme for this year is, and that is social work break barriers. So congratulations on your role as a social worker wherever you are serving, in schools, hospitals, the justice systems, law, the courts, wherever you are serving. We say congratulations to you. Continue to shine and do your best work. And all the more, I'm excited about our guest today, who is a social worker and who is breaking barriers in her neck of the woods and the work she's doing. So I'll stop right there, not giving too much away. Vanessa, I'll pass the mic to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. So I am Vanessa Kelly-Brew, and I am bringing you greetings from Elkhart, Indiana, and that is the city with a heart.
all right. We pass the mic to Nadette.
Noel.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nadette Noel, and I bring you guys greetings from the Sunshine State, Florida. It's not too sunny outside right now, but it's our Sunshine State, and I am very happy to be here and to be a part of this awesome thing that is happening here. So I already told them I'm not, I don't want to say too much until they give me the leeway to speak a bit more.
Okay. Well, welcome, Nadette, and all social workers from across the globe. If you are online, what I want you to do right now is to share the link with any of your friends, the YouTube link. Go to Facebook and share that as well, so that we can get more individuals participating with us today. I heard a preacher say, be an electronic evangelist and a digital disciple. I'm giving credit to Pastor Snell. He's the one who I heard say that, and I thought it was pretty cool. So get on your device, as you're on your device, and share the link for Facebook and YouTube as we get into the show today. Let's start off with our Rumor Time prayer.
I'll
Here
take
we
it away
go.
from there.
Go ahead.
All right. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day and for this Access RUMERTIME Conversations podcast. I thank you for allowing us to be chosen to be here because we are special and we matter to you. I pray that you will help us to recognize, understand, manage, express, and reflect on thoughts, interactions, mindsets, and emotions that are helpful, kind, wise, uplifting, and courageous. I also pray that all who watch and listen now and in the future will experience renewed minds, transformed lives, and they would be empowered to create safer communities wherever they are. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen. Amen. All right, let's go right into our mission, Geneva.
Yes, our mission statement is, as we just prayed, to renew minds, transform lives, and create safer communities.
Awesome. Vanessa.
And what we do is social emotional wellness. What is that? So, social emotional wellness is a person's ability to recognize, understand, manage, express, and reflect on their thoughts, their interactions, their mindsets, and emotions as it relates to self, others, and situations. And as we effectively utilize these skills, we become equipped and empowered to successfully navigate daily activities such as loving, learning, earning, relationship building, problem solving, and adapting to the demands of growth and development.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. And so the rumor time. So our show is Access Rumor Time Conversations. And rumor time, we made up the word because we can. And so rumor time is an acronym. All right, it's an acronym and it stands for the first R is recognize. Then we have you, understand. Then we have manage, which is the next M, which is M. E, express. R, reflect on your thoughts. T, interactions. I, mindsets. M, and emotions. E. Right? So rumor time is an acronym that stands for one's ability to recognize, understand, manage, express, and reflect on your thoughts, interactions, mindsets, and emotions as it relates to oneself, others, and diverse situations. Let's get to the definition of the RUMERTIME process now. And that definition is it's a 5-step, culturally responsive, social emotional problem solving strategy that helps individuals move from a position of inter and intrapersonal imbalance to inter and intrapersonal balance, and from unconscious living to conscious living. All right. So that is the RUMERTIME process. It's a prevention intervention strategy that we use across all settings with all people. As long as you have breath in your mouth, in your lungs, you you need to be using the RUMERTIME process. All right, so let's get to the next slide. I think we're advertising our mini course for this month. This month, our course is Bad Attitude, How to Fix a Bad Attitude. Enroll today. The courses are only $20, and this is going to be for a limited time. These courses are about $200. We are running a special this year so far for some of these courses, some of our mini courses. So we want you to take advantage of it. Click on the link. I think we're gonna have a QR code coming up where you can click on there and enroll today. We look forward to you participating in our 10-year anniversary mini course specials. All right. Yes, yes. What else we got coming up on the screen here? All right. Okay.
That's us.
It's us. It is us. It is us. So that was the end of our education segment. And
Yeah.
we're going to move right into
Right on in to our conversation, huh?
Conversation, yes.
So my first question, Nadette, I'm excited to know how, or maybe I should say when, were you first introduced? How did you learn about the RUMERTIME process?
Okay, so the RUMERTIME process, I didn't hear about it. Actually, was brought to us. Right, we had our previous director for student services, which I work for Broward County Public Schools, and there I'm one of many school social workers. And we are in a specific zone. So this was brought to us by Dr. Laurel Thompson. This woman was phenomenal, right? She retired. And if there is an intervention, a prevention somewhere around the world that's going to benefit students, she's going to find it. And when she brings it to the social workers, she brings it with, she had this thing she does, she call it bring it, right? And she always brought it. So when she introduced this program to us, she was so excited. So you don't have a choice but to buy in, right? Because she's excited. And you know, excitement and laughter is contagious. So Dr. Thompson was the one who brought the program to us in 2018. So not all of the social workers in Broward County is using it. It's really just the Sparks program. And that Sparks program, it's only in two zones, the Boyd Anderson and the Dillard zone. So our school system is, we divided into various zones. I know we from different areas and states, so I'm not sure how everybody else is. But for us, we broke into different zones, and that means that in that zone, you have the high school, you have the middle school, you have the elementary school, which kind of feed into each other. Right. And then the schools are all, I might have the high school student, the school next door will have the elementary school student, and so forth. So in the Sparks program, we had that. And this program, I hope I don't mess up the acronym for Sparks. My team leader, she will be highly upset because she's so confident about that. So I'm gonna try not to mess it up. And if I do, internet, please forgive me. So it's a specialized professional advanced resource knowledge and skills. Those are the acronyms for Sparks. And that program, what it brings, it bring additional resources to these two particular zone. Because of the makeup of that zone, and which I'm sure we'll cover a little bit more later on. So that program, that Sparks programs bring additional services, additional social workers, because every school in that zone has 2 social workers assigned to them to provide additional support, whether it's for attendance. And as mostly every one of you guys on here is social workers, we know when you do with attendance, you're dealing with a whole lot of different things, right? You refer for attendance, but it's like there's homelessness, there is all these other things that comes with attendance
that contributes to the attendance issue, right?
Exactly. So then this program brings in additional services to these 2 zones. And one of the major things that it brings, and this program was to enhance, is the social emotional learning. Right, which is the reason I'm sure that Dr. Thompson brought this program to us, this intervention, because now I might upset a few other people in our department. That's just Noel's personal opinion. That student services is the heart of Broward County Schools, and I say that because student services house the social workers and family counselors. Now we have a whole lot of other people under there. But student services house we have the homeless program, the foster care program, right? So we are the heart.
Yes.
We are the heart. Child abuse program, all is under that. So, and that department believes that enhancing social emotional it's the utmost important, because when we have a emotionally healthy child, they're more equipped to learn. So hence rumor time, this process is the perfect thing for the perfect intervention for us. So that's how we got the long version of how I got introduced to
How you got introduced to it. Okay, Vanessa, you had a question?
Yeah, no, Nadette, you just answered the question, because what I heard you say was Dr. Thompson brought the RUMERTIME program to you all because it is a social emotional wellness program, and I was wondering why that was important. Important enough for her to bring that or this specific program to you all.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
So yeah, you answered that question by saying that, it's important for the social emotional wellness of the students. So
For the students.
yeah.
I want to follow up that question with Nadette. So you got introduced to us in 2018. What happened between 2018? Kind of give us some events in terms of the RUMERTIME process and GC score between 2018 and now and today.
Okay.
Give us a timeline, some high points.
Okay. So we had the training in 2018. It was a whole week training. It was great. It was interactive because it was all the social workers, and it's not every day that you have the founder and CEO of a program comes to train you, right? Because usually they'll send a representative. But we were fortunate to have both of you guys there for an entire week, and even my children got involved and
Yes.
So I was excited. It was great. That whole week was, like I said, interactive. It was great. And Dr. Thompson as well was present for the trainings. So it's not like she gave it to us and walk away. And then come, we had some work to do. And this is where, I know it's Monday. Most of us went to church yesterday, and I'm not Catholic, and you guys are not priests, but I'm about to confess, right?
It's good for the soul. It's good for the soul. Confession is good for the soul.
So
right ahead.
After we did that, that 2019, 2020, we had COVID. So it's like the school system, we really wasn't doing a lot of, we weren't utilizing that because most of our students were home. Now, Nadette over here took a look because, like I said, Dr. Thompson retired, but we had new people. And we continued utilizing this intervention. So we had a book. This book was big. It's this journal. I was like, no. And, and then there was all these questions we had to answer, all this work we had to do. I rebel. Right? I rebel. I was
Can you say that out loud again?
I rebelled.
She rebelled, people. She rebelled.
I sure did. And I will explain. So I will tell you, I look at this. The first thing that was in there that I had to do was the smiley face, right? It's the feelings. It's the feeling chart. And I look at that, I'm like, and by the way, I speak with my face. So people who know me know that I do speak with my face. And I read that stuff. I'm like, okay, I'm in a high school. Did people understand? I'm in a high school. This is for elementary school students. I'm not showing my kids a bunch of smiley face and all these questions, negative. So I rebelled, and I didn't do it. I did not do it.
And I'll just put her on blast here some more, right, to go along with the confession. So they removed the training from face-to-face because of COVID and online.
Yes.
And her cohort, we considered the first cohort for the online training. Well, almost, I think 98% of the social workers completed. And we kept seeing Nadette Noel. Module 1, 0. Module 2, 0.
I'm like, is Nadette still with you guys?
Exactly. Nadette, for all the 8 modules, Nadette was MIA. Okay. So I just want to add that to the story of your
Thank you
confession.
so much, Dr. Laria. Thank you so much. And here I am thinking you appreciate, you like me. Okay. It's love, right? It's love.
It's love.
So, but I emailed my supervisor a few months, I think the beginning of the year. I emailed my supervisor, maybe you guys I'm sure you guys may have kids or you've worked with children. When a child is supposed to do a home, like their chores, they didn't do their chores, which was exactly what I told my supervisor. I had this odd feeling like any minute now she's gonna call me and says, "Why haven't you do this?" Like, your parent come home, everything seems fine, but something is coming. So before they called me, I called them, right? So I said, "Can I please figure out what I need to do? Because obviously I'm missing this and it appears to be mandatory." And my supervisor, "Yes, it is mandatory." I said, "Oh, okay. Well, can we please have a meeting so I can catch up?" So that is how I'm back. and
After
just to say,
4 years?
Who's counting? Nobody's counting. Who's counting?
Who's
But I
counting?
will tell you guys that so I put it away simply because it appears simple, right? And sometimes I think more seriously is that as social workers, and people, we sometimes think things must be hard, must be difficult, must
Must
so
be complex.
yes, and we put up things that we put it off because it's simple. And to me, I would say that was part of my thing. This was simple. It didn't look, and it looked like a lot of work, number one, for me to do to prepare for my students. So and when I looked through it, smiley face, we're doing what? We're coloring with high school student. So I was like, I don't think so. But in that meeting, and I'm going to say, I think I'm not sure if I told Dr. Fleming and Dr. Laria, thank you for that, but thank you for taking the time to meet with me and my other colleague and I think I was leading him astray. Sorry, partner.
Give a shout out to Roberto.
I wasn't going to say his name, but Dr. Laria did it, Roberto. Dr. Laria did it. So we had the opportunity to meet with you guys, with the team leader, and just really explain it to us. I will tell you, it was, since I work in the Sparks program, so sparks were flying, right? As Dr. Laria explained it to me, to us, and I attended one or two of the coaching sessions, I was like, oh, okay, this is not at all what I perceived it to be. Right, what I thought it was something completely different, still practical, but different than what I imagined. So my eyes was like, okay, like a kid in a candy store. I shared that with Dr. Larry earlier. It's like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. This is good. So here I was looking for interventions, looking for better ways to work with my students when I had it on my desk all along, right? I had the information, and I also should probably apologize to Dr. Thompson. If anybody's watching, you could tell her I said sorry, because she knew what she was doing. You know what I'm saying? So she knew the value that she was bringing to us, and I wasn't utilizing it. So that's where we are now. That I'm just like sucking it up, right? I'm really. I said to them, I've read all these things. I've watched different things online. I'm like already 13% because I just started now. I'm like 13% done with my thing. I'm no longer will you see zeros.
Good.
I'm just really sucking it in because now it's like I said, that sparks when I got it. And that's where we are.
And so let me just summarize what you said, and then I want you to then move into a topic that is really near and dear to you, and you've made it near and dear to us. So what Nadette has been saying, one of the things that she's saying in this last 5 minutes is the RUMERTIME process was brought to her school. It appeared to not be relevant or relatable to high school students. I want you guys to get this. in the meantime, while she was under that mindset, right, she was still working as a social worker, working with her high school students, doing what she always did. But what I'm understanding is that it wasn't as effective as she would hope, right? And then started wondering, well, what else can I do? What can I do? Not realizing the answer to her problems were sitting on her desk. She had the information, right? One of the goals of GC Score is to increase access. The second goal is to ensure that when people get the access, they know how to effectively utilize the access. And what had happened with Nadette was she had the access, but didn't effectively utilize it until she came face to face with problems in her setting and had to then do a mindset shift and also reflect on what she was taught earlier. One of the points I want you guys to take home is that the RUMERTIME process is for everybody, every time, everywhere, because it focuses on relationships and it focuses on one's mindsets, which we all have, thoughts, which we have over 6,000 of those every day, behaviors, which we all are. As long as you're alive, you're behaving somehow, some way, somehow. And what it does, it helps you structure those interactions and mindsets. So that's what I wanted to summarize that. So now Nadette, and part of Nadette's discovery, and I think part of what has evoked such renewed passion for what Dr. Thompson had brought to her is what she has coined, and you're going to hear more about this. What she has coined the journey children. Journey children.
Yes. So if you could put a pin right there, I want to you express an example of your explanation of Nadette's story, right, in terms of GC Scored, and which is another big piece of our work. So one of the things, the audience, those of you who've been tuned into us are aware, Dr. Larry has coined the term that behind every behavior is a belief. And so what happened in Nadette's case in this situation, her behavior was, that is for children. That's for the elementary school kids. You know, that I'm in high school. That's not for me. So she turned herself off. That was her behavior, but she turned herself off even in her mind. Her thinking was, this is not for my students. We're in high school. And so until her mind was renewed, until she started to change the way she thought about it, was when the transformation came about. I wanted to pull that out.
Awesome. Thank you. So Nadette, I want you to spend some time, like I said, Nadette has coined this term, journey children, as a result of the work she's doing with a specific demographic. So Nadette, please let the world know what this is about and how the RUMERTIME process interfaces or aligns with that work.
Okay, so which is one of the reasons, right? It's working with my journey children, my journey students, that I was looking for something different. I needed something. So I started calling them journey children because we have at our school, and I know you guys have seen the news where you see these caravans, right, of children, of people coming from Chile, coming from Brazil or Mexico, right? I always said to people, these are our students. When you see these young people on these caravans, on these roads, these are our kids that is coming to Broward schools or other schools in the county, in the states, At my school, we have this very interesting dynamic group of students for the last 2 years but especially this year. There's a group of students who come, they are from Haitian descent, or they were born in Haiti themselves, who does not barely speaks Creole, or their Creole is very limited because they fluent in Spanish and they fluent in Portuguese. And these kids, when I was meeting with them, a lot of them come, they don't have grades. They're coming without grades. They're coming without a report card. And in high school, you need 24, here in Broward County in Florida, you need 24 credits to graduate. When we're having these kids who are coming in 10th grade, 11th grade, who are coming without grades at all, it became very difficult for our guidance department, our guidance director, to figure out how do we place these kids. And she would come to me and said, because I would translating for them, or the parents really, and she said, well, Nadette, we can't just place them. So I couldn't keep saying that, they were on the road, they didn't go to school. Some of these kids, they're going through 13 countries on foot to arrive at Broward County schools, to arrive at this school. So
say that again. Say that part again. These are students who do what?
They are traveling about 13 countries, from Brazil or Chile to Florida. It's about 13 countries. And they are not getting rides. They're not getting on trucks. These are students who are walking through woods, who have experience. When we talk about trauma, these students are absolutely the definition of trauma, but also very resilient. I would say very resilient students. They are going through to these various countries in the woods. They're sleeping in the woods. They've watched people get killed. They've watched rape happened in front of them. They've watched people being eaten by an animal. I'm not making up these stories. These are my students. That's what they're experiencing. Both the Mr. Ray and I, we are the same school, and he has the same. We've shared, and there are times after we meet with some of these students, we need to speak to each other. We need to kind of renew our mind, right? We need
debrief. Absolutely.
Debrief, because it's so intense what these children have gone through. So a lot of time when the guidance director and I would be meeting in the front office, right? Because the kids are registering, they're in the front office with other people. I couldn't keep saying to her that, they from, remember they were traveling. So I just said, you know what, when we came through that a kid didn't have papers and I've already spoke to them, I simply said they were in the journey. And once I said that, she understood that means they don't have what we required, which is the grades and the stuff. So so very often if I'm not there, she was dealing with registering a student who come from that either Mexico or Brazil or Chile or Venezuela or Honduras. She goes, we have one more of your journey children, Nadette.
Yeah.
So it just made it easier for us to explain how or why these things are missing. So that's why I call them the journey children. They were in this journey to get here. And I think the other question you asked is, how does RUMERTIME interface with that? In the beginning of the year, I will tell you guys, which is why, I'm glad finally, I'm here. It's that these kids, what I was using wasn't working. Of course, as a social, we were trained to use CBT and problem solving, theories and all these things. But when they walk out of my office, they didn't have something concrete. They could not do this on their own, right? They could not stop. So what I like about the RUMERTIME is that I can simply say something like time to them, which I do, by the way. I'm walking in the hallway and I may see, little Susie, who's getting into some negative interaction with another students, or, the swiveling the head and the flying. I'm like, Susie, time. And she understood what that meant, because we've done it. We did it. And so now I can, no one else may know what I'm talking about. Administrators, they're doing what they need to do with that student. And very often I'll see my students, they balling up their fists, they're getting upset, or they bring them to me upset that way. And I just say time. Are we using time? Are we utilizing time? And now, no. Okay, so all right. So my thoughts. Okay, and how am I interacting? What is my interaction with this specific
Situation.
situation right now?
Mm-hmm.
And that mindfulness,
Mindset. Mm-hmm.
that the mindset,
Mm-hmm.
your mindset, because how and I will talk about that one quote that Dr. Fumi, you just said, Dr. Laria's quote. I think that's changed for me. That's my quote now. I mean, of course I'll give you credit, but I've adapted that quote, right? I've adapted.
Awesome. That's the point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my students can work out. I'm giving them a tool, right? They
Awesome.
can process this on their own.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I noticed with Rumor Time in GC Score is that it says every piece matter, right?
Mm-hmm.
Every piece matter, and their story matter.
Mm-hmm.
But now when they're telling their story, there's a purpose to that story. You utilizing it, you can reflect on it. You're doing it as a way, as a constructive way. You're just not telling the story just for telling it, but you can use it to heal,
Yes.
change your mindset and find the positive in there. How do you utilize the story, your story, for you, in a more practical, conscious. Conscious. I think a lot of time we work. I'll speak for myself. I work it's just a go, right? They bring a student to me, I just go. Rumor Time, what it's telling me is to pause.
Pause.
Right? Pause. And I will tell you guys, it works for me. I know I might be going to the next conversation, guys. And I did share with this panel here before we even went on. They have to rein me in, right? Social workers, PK's kids, we talk a lot. So rein me in. So
go ahead.
The ringing.
Yeah.
One of the things for me is that pause, using that, because one of the coaching sessions we did, again, I'm grateful. Now I understand it, right? I'm grateful. I value it now. I didn't value it before, but I value it now.
Good.
Having the founders actually the one teaching you, again, not having someone else doing this process with us. It's giving us that. We did this one where we had the music when we first got in. We did the music. It was only 5 minutes. I wish it was longer, because if it was, I would probably go to sleep. So
no, we would.
Right?
Just enough.
We did that, and then we process our feelings. I find using that with my students wasn't only beneficial for them, but beneficial for me. Why I say that? Because it's a constant thing. My old supervisor used to say, "Oh, so you have an emergency clinic over here, Nadette, because there's always a kid waiting to see me. I can't even, that one walk out, the other one walk in." But that 5-minute pause for me gave me time, not only for the student, but for my mindset, right? It gives me time to be more intentional in what I'm going to do with this student. It gives me time to transition from one student issue or problem that I was dealing with to be able to focus solely on this student in front of me, right? So I'm transitioning from one student to the next by using that. So I hope it's beneficial for them as well. I have asked, they said yes, but it's definitely beneficial for me. Just that calming, that transition. It's great for me. It really has worked great for me. And if you guys don't mind, I'll give an example of something that I used it last week, Thursday, as a matter of fact, with the student. When I tell you that girl was mad, she was mad. And all kind of language, she walked down the hall, and one of the guidance counselors said, "Can you please take her?" I said, "Absolutely." So she's walking. I'm like, she's using words. So we got in, she flopped herself in my chair, and then I put on my music. I put on the music. And she was like, "Why do we have this? Why is this music playing?" I said, "It's just for us. It's just for us to, just for me." Right? She's like, "I don't want to listen to music." I said, "Well, then you just sit here while I listen to music, right? While I talk to myself. Because Miss Noel over here is kind of hype. So Miss Noel needs to calm down." She said, "Oh, okay." But then I said, well, let's just breathe. You can breathe with me, right? Because you're breathing right now, right?
Exactly.
Love
And
it.
she
Love
said,
it.
that stuff never works for me. I said, it doesn't have to work for you. Just help Miss Noel out, right? Just help me out. And she started doing it, right? She started doing it with me. And when I stopped, she goes, we done? I said, yes, we're
Wow.
done. We're done. And she said, oh, can we do it again?
Oh no, she did it.
Like, right? But I will tell you guys this: the switch in her mind, her body, her attitude.
Yeah.
It was just, it was
It was
amazing.
immediate. It was
Yes,
immediate.
it was
Yeah.
immediate. It
It
was
makes a
immediate.
difference. And Nadette is talking about our RUMERTIME emometer. And you can go to our website on the Shopify and purchase one of those posters. We have them for sale.
Yeah.
And we use it in every time we have a meeting, a coaching session, and we model it so that the social workers or our participants can use it in their own everyday lives, in their work settings, wherever they are. So thank you for sharing that about
Yeah.
the potency of the RUMERTIME process,
Yeah.
and the kids, the journey children. I want
Yeah.
America, I want the world to hear, because we are going to have more of those journey children.
Yes.
Let's think about what's happening in Turkey. Let's think about what's happening in Ukraine. Let's think about what's happening across the globe, in Venezuela, in other islands. People, the migration rate is going to increase 100-fold. And we're going to have more of these. We need to make sure we have interventions that are geared toward these populations. So Vanessa,
I'm sorry, Vanessa, before you say that, I just want to just quickly say, Dr. Laria says we need to have an intervention for these students. And I don't mean to correct the doctor, but we already have an intervention to work with the children, as Nadette has, I had to do. We just have to utilize it, right?
Yeah,
It's available. It's available. It's here. We just had to use it. So go ahead, Vanessa.
And that intervention is the RUMERTIME process.
Yes.
Check it out on the website. Go ahead. Sorry, Vanessa.
Absolutely. Nadette, thank you so much for sharing that story with us and with our listening audience. And of course, we are already aware of this. And so I will tell you that when I first heard the story of the Journey children, it just impacted me. I mean, it touched my heart. So, and to think, like what you were just saying, that these are children who walked through 13 states.
Countries.
Countries. 13 countries. And I honestly, like I've said before, I live in Indiana, and I'm thinking the closest place that right now we have Michigan that surrounds us, and we're close to Illinois. And I'm thinking, even for me to walk from one state to another state, but the things that they saw and experienced along their journey. And the question, though, that I have for you, Nadette, is the work that you do with these children to address the trauma that they have experienced and to try to help transform their lives. I'm wondering for you, how has this, working with these children who have experienced such trauma in their lives, how has this impacted you as the helper? And how has your life been transformed in the process?
That's a great question, Vanessa. I would say first part is how grateful. It makes me grateful and thankful right? And sometimes I don't think we understand what we have until we see someone else dealing with so little, right? So for me, it just makes me grateful. It makes me reflective as well, because I'm an immigrant, right? My father came here first, and my mother migrated here. And I thought, it was such a big deal when my mom left us for 2 years, 2 or 3 years. My father left for 4. My mother was 2 or 3. I'm sure my siblings will correct me, especially my sister, because she has a timetable on her head. So she always remember time and dates. So I'm not so good with that. And I thought that was so much, right? And we came here. I didn't come in a boat. I came in the plane. And I thought, oh my gosh, my mom left me. No, this is nothing compare. So he helps me to put my story in perspective. Right? Gives me a different perspective. It also like I said, me grateful for and I know I can speak about God in this space. So for what God has done for me, right? And also make me more conscious, more aware of what my students are dealing with.
Empathy, social awareness.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm constantly telling the teachers, and I know the teachers have a lot to deal with. I'm like, please remember, we have no idea what these kids are going through that is in your classroom. So let's be mindful of how we speak to them or how the day is starting. And if we have time, I'll tell you something. I definitely want to try this in a few classrooms at my school. Is how these kids' days can start. And because when in the coaching sessions, we talk about how the interaction starts from the moment these kids with the school system, from the moment the kids get on the bus, right? And think about these journeys to children. Also, when they come here, they're homeless. A lot of them are coming homeless, and they come with nothing, right? Because whatever clothes they have sometimes it's already been worn. It's just a lot of trauma. So really, it just makes me more focused, a lot more prayerful. But the other part I would say I try not to do is not to make it to the point where I make my own children feel guilty, right? Because sometimes I we like to say, well, there's some kid in Africa that's not eating. And when my daughter doesn't want to walk from my house to the stop sign, when she was in middle school, she wouldn't walk from the house to the stop sign. It's like 10 houses down, right? 10 houses down. And she would walk like she's walking to God knows where. So it helps me I have to be mindful that I cannot put that pressure into my own children because they have never experienced that. They don't know what I'm talking about.
Right.
So I would say that's how this has impacted me. And what Dr. Larry said, show more empathy, more understanding from my kids.
Yeah. Definitely. Vanessa, you want to follow up with what Nadette said in response to your question?
Well, I do. If you
yeah, go on.
Yeah, earlier in this conversation, Nadette, you described the social workers as like the heart. You guys are the heartbeat, sort of the heartbeat, the mindset of the school. And just hearing you share just now brings that back to life for me, because you all are you're more than advocates, but you're standing there in your empathetic position. You're that students advocating on behalf of these students to the rest of the institution, not just the teachers, but making the case for how these children are indeed special and warrants additional and special attention. Attention that can so easily be overlooked, right? Because they come, there's no trajectory, there's no plan, there's no previous footprints. So you all are pioneering on very special grounds and very special territory. So, my hat's off to you and the work that you're doing there, and to all social workers that are working with what Nadette has coined as the journey children. Thanks so much for sharing that.
And the last thing I would say, Vanessa, is that it becomes very emotional, it's very emotional. So I work with some wonderful staff at the school, the family therapist who I've worked with for many years, and my colleague, the social worker. So we walk out. I might finish see a student, one of my students who witnessed her mother being raped. After I met with her, I had to walk outside. I needed to decompress. I needed that. So the family therapist, sometimes she said, I have a student. She would whisper, I have a student. And I'm like, I'm in crisis.
Yeah.
And she'll tell me, I'll meet you outside, but let me finish with my student, because it can be very, very emotional as well as we do this work.
Yeah, it's the work that social workers, counselors, therapists, psychologists, anyone, educators, teachers do is requires that you have in place the RUMERTIME process. If to do what you do without the RUMERTIME process is, I would say, suicide.
Yeah, that's just stronger. I was going to say hard.
Yeah, it would be career. It would be you basically putting yourself on the altar of sacrifice.
Yeah.
Without proper foundation to even support the sacrifice. We can't keep doing what we've always done. We've always done, like Nadette said, moving from one client to the next, one student to the next, and we just woo and doing the same process. One of the main differences between the RUMERTIME process and other processes that you've used and other interventions and prevention strategies is that, and Nadette said it equips and empowers students to be able to problem solve when the counselor is not there, when the social worker is not there. And that is what she said she gave. You wanted to say something about that, Nadette?
No, I said absolutely. And I would also say that it's also a rate without having that process. Not, like I said, not just for the student. Now I get it, right? Now I get it. I realize it's not just for the student, but for the worker themselves.
Yeah.
For us to be on our own, whether it's we take a walk outside, to step outside to kind of reflect and understand. The first two letters and
recognize and understand. Yeah.
Right, and change our own mindset. So how do I go to the next student? If I'm still traumatized by what I just heard, right? If I'm still traumatized by what I heard. So if we don't have that, and I'm, all the theories out there who love, CBT and problem solving. I'm not saying those are not working. I'm simply saying having that is a different mindset. It's very different. It's practical. It's easy to do, right? And I also will say I understand why at first it looked too easy, right, to do, because the whole point is for it to be done at home, at
everywhere,
school, at church. So and anyone, you don't need a PhD or a master's degree to be able to do this process, right? That's why it's so practical, right? So practical because anyone can utilize the process once they understand it, and it's a way for us not to burn out, right?
Exactly.
If you don't have that, you're burned out.
And that is one of the 12 features of the RUMERTIME process. It was intentionally designed to be easy to learn, easy to teach, relatable, and scalable. Those are some of the 12 features of the RUMERTIME process.
Yeah.
So the fact that when you started it, you said, "Oh, this is too simple. This is too easy." You validated the purpose for which it was made. and, and so that was, so thank you for doing that.
And I also wanted to add what Nadette was also saying is that this is culturally responsive.
Yes.
So you're saying, there's no shade to CBT,
Right.
but this is culturally responsive. So this is addressing issues that certain populations just have. And what I also wanted to do, if it's okay, is just take a moment to recognize some of the
Yes.
things that we have in the chat.
Yes, go ahead.
And so Nadette, our listening audience is saying thank you to you for sharing the story and the work that you are doing with these journey children. And we have Loisland Patrick, who is saying this is truly traumatic for the children. How are you coping with having to listen to their stories? And I think you shared that already, but also how are the children coping now as well? And I want you to answer that, Nadette, because I know the first time, like when I heard this, I remember your response, Vanessa. Because honestly, when I heard it in my heart, I was just honestly, like I was weeping in my heart for these children. Because like you said, when everyone has a story, but even the things that I have had to deal with in my life, I'm thinking in comparison, I cannot compare, the things that I have had to endure when I think of these children and what they've had to go through. So, can you share, Nadette, how these children are doing?
So I will tell you this, that's what I said earlier. These students are so resilient, right? And which is interesting. It's like how, which is the whole story of how do some people have resiliency and some people doesn't, right? All the studies can't tell us that. We all know that that's just how God processes things, and we just as good as that. So many of my students, I say for the majority of our students, they're doing well, academically, I would say, but they've learned, again, culture has so much to do with it, right? I will briefly say,
absolutely.
I think one of the issues for me, just as a Haitian person, we are taught to, and that's another layer as I can connect with my kids because I'm of Haitian descent, right? Because I'm Haitian. We are taught to not talk about our feelings, right? Your feelings or how you're feeling, what's happening at home is personal, is private, keep it to ourselves. And if you add the other layer of being a Christian on top of that, then you're really not saying a word. All you're doing is smiling and saying, God is great. Bless the Lord. And
I'm blessed.
Favorite, I'm blessed.
I'm highly favored.
Right? When in your heart, first of all, yeah, I know I'm blessed, but right now I don't feel blessed.
Right.
I know God loves me, but right now I don't feel love. But we are taught in my culture, in the Haitian culture, I can't speak for everyone in the Haitian culture. I'm just speaking from my personal experience, right? And also as a PK's daughter, we were not taught to share our feelings. So sometimes some of my students, they appear to be doing well, right? And so one of the things I do with them is this. After I've seen a student maybe 3-4 times, they come in, hey, Miss Noel, how are you? They have all this smile. I've had this experience where my students who laugh the most, who smiles the most, they are having the most pain in the inside. So I will let them do this 2-3 times. And at one point they'll come in, I'll stick a thing on my door that says, do not disturb. I said, listen, so-and-so, I know this is not fine. So today we're going to talk. All right. We're really going to talk. And usually when I tell you, it'll take maybe 3 minutes tops, if that, for the tears, for that shell to fall off. And I said, I wasn't buying this act. I understand it's an act. We got to keep it together, right? We got to keep it together in school. We got to keep it together because mom says you can't do this. And if you're a boy, you're a boy, Haitian boy, or a Caribbean Black young man who was raised in a church, you're definitely not crying to a woman in school, not happening. But I
Mhm.
have found that when you close that door and says, listen, I know there's stuff happening. I don't know what it is, but I need you to be honest and I need you to be open. I haven't had an opportunity. I have never had a place where kids will not says, Miss, you have no idea. And usually
Mm.
start like that, Miss, you have no idea. And then it
Mhm.
comes out, it comes out, it
Mhm.
comes out. So at that point, because of how the school system is set up, our schools is set up, the social workers with more resources, you know. So we do have the family therapist there. We refer them to counseling to the family therapist, or sometimes we have to refer them out. Some of them, sorry guys, I do keep them because we can't find the language. There's a language barrier with them
Mhm.
getting the proper services. So
Mhm.
they're coping. They're coping because a lot of them are just like I said, they're just resilient. They're resilient. They're doing well academically for most of them. And right now, some of my seniors are not doing so well because they are doing all these hard work. And once they graduate, they can't go to college.
Yeah,
So
because
right
they
now,
don't have papers.
correct,
Yeah.
correct. So it's
Yeah.
hard to get them motivated
Rated.
to
Mhm.
say come to school because
Mhm.
they don't see the reason. And again, for me, I know that firsthand because I was one of those kids. I wasn't the joining kids, but I didn't have papers graduating high school. So I'm able to connect with them in that sense
Mhm.
and do my best to elevate them and change their mindset, you know. I'm like,
Mhm.
hey, here I am, you know, to master's degree later.
Mhm.
I didn't go the, you know, we don't maybe I didn't go the straight route, but
Mhm.
if you're determined, you'll get there. You might
Mhm.
get there slower,
Mhm.
different route, but you'll get there.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
that's how I find that my students are doing. And for me, like I said, prayer. I pray for my students. I
Mhm.
don't pray necessarily with them. Private schools, I'm not praying with the kids. Don't worry. I'm praying for them.
Don't come for me, Broward County. I'm not praying with your students. I'm not praying with your students.
I'm
I
praying
am praying
for the
for.
students.
Okay, Broward County. All right.
So
Okay.
that's how I cope with that. And then, like I said, I also have my team that I go to, and my pastor that's also is in the same field in a sense. So we're able to speak through that.
What are some other comments in the chat, Vanessa?
Right, thank you. And so Caroline says rumor time process is the answer, and she says thanks very much, Dr. Yvonne, for opening our eyes to this idea of every piece matters. In fact, it has been very helpful in understanding individuals and giving birth to positive relationships. So she's saying thank you so much for this. And Catherine Lucas is saying it cannot be business as usual. We have to do things differently. The old way that is merely a plaster to cover the trauma and hurt we may be experiencing. Um,
Very
Again,
true.
thank you, Dr. Laria, for this rumor time process. Um, Again, we have our listeners saying thank you, Nadette. Powerful stories I'm hearing today about these children. Thank you for making us aware firsthand of their situations and how fortunate we are with what we have.
Yes. Yes.
Oh,
Okay. All right.
yeah.
All right. I think
I see Sabrina. I'm not able to roll up. Seems like there are a few more. Sabrina, are you able to see that one?
We are, but I think we answer those questions
Gotcha. Okay.
during the our conversation.
I couldn't see it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Our audience, we know we went over a few minutes, but again, like I've said in the past, it's our show, and we can do what we want to do. So if you're able to stay on, we're grateful. All right, but when we have these types of captivating, knowledge rich conversations, we want you to know about it, and we want to know more about it. And we want to thank Nadette, Noel,
Yes.
for the transformation that has happened with her,
Yes.
right? The transformation that has happened with her first, and how it has lit a fire under her is like fire shut up in my bones, in my bones.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes. Sir.
Yes, Nadette, I have to say, I especially like how you use the mindful moment with that student.
Yeah.
And who came into the office, the mindful moment and the breathing. And because, you know, what that says is people automatically want to just stay on autopilot, not even, that's living unconsciously, right? What are you doing? So that music just completely disrupted her process, what was happening. She wanted to stick with the anger or stick with whatever it was. But that music and the breathing helped to break that up.
Yeah.
And that's what we
and
do.
it also opened her mind to, it also opened up her mind to my next thing, which was to do rumorize with her.
Rumorize her.
It opens that. It was my, we always want to do icebreaker. So that was like my sense of icebreaker with her. And I mentioned that earlier. I know we're over time, but I would love to, which I'm hoping to speak to at least. I want to try it at least in 2 classrooms, because I know 2 teachers that their class are busy, and I think we have the block schedule. There's 90 minutes. And I know how it is important for them to not miss a minute in their education process. However, the first 10 minutes of class, the teacher is usually busy saying, Steve, sit down. Mike, get your books. Come in and sit down. Turn off your phone. So I'm thinking if we could use that 10 minutes for that, as they transition to the classroom, because the day, or we have the bell that rings, and that's why I couldn't be at my school today, because if we were, the bell would keep ringing.
Yeah.
You hear bell ringing. So I had to find another space to do this. So as they usher into the classroom, because they have about 4 to 5 minutes to transition, they come in with this energy. And sometimes it's not positive energy, it's stuff that has happened at home, where I've shared in our coaching session. I've had we have several students who have children, right? So their mind isn't there, but if they could walk in the classroom and have that playing, and the teacher saying, come in, just let's take a moment, let's breathe. And my mind just understanding the process and seeing me utilizing it with my students, how it shift, right? It shift that environment, okay, and for me too, like I said, for me as well, because
absolutely.
Now, so I would like to see, trying it in the classroom, and I would love to see not just the social workers using RUMERTIME Process, but teachers, because I think
everybody.
Oh my gosh, I think that would make such.
It would revolutionize. It will revolutionize education, because it is for everybody, right? The same way you benefited from the mindful moment, the kids, the students benefit from it.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Win. It's a win situation.
Yeah, it's a win-win. So thank you all for coming today, and thank you for spending time with us and giving us some of your extra time. We look forward to seeing you on the 4th Monday. What day is that? Anybody has that date right at the tip of their fingers?
Yeah, that would be the 27th.
The 27th of March. Same time.
Next podcast.
Yes. Again, Nadette, thank you so much.
Thank you so guys for having me. Thank you for having me. And my last plug would be that, as I see that we open with prayer, RUMERTIME Process really coincide or match with Ephesians chapter 4, verse 22 to 24, which speaks about former conversation, which are deceitful, right? As we do the intrapersonal, this conversation that we have with ourselves, it is deceitful, because a lot of my students, myself, everybody, we say these things to ourselves, I'm stupid, I'm dumb. And, this is what Ephesians 4 talks about. It's like the former conversation, right?
That's right.
And renewing our spirit, renewing our mind is by living, by utilizing RUMERTIME. I told you guys, I'm all in, right? I'm all in now. So I got this now. I'm excited. And
Awesome.
learning the rumor time, using that is how we're gonna, renew our mind and renew our spirit, right?
Mhm.
And I think by us becoming is in each individual person becoming more balanced, right?
Mhm.
Emotionally,
And
interpersonal
communally.
balance with
Mhm.
this process. If the more people we have that then we'll have a better community, right? A
Oh
better
yeah.
church, a better community, and
Better
a better
schools,
country.
homes. Yeah.
Yes, better
Yeah.
homes, better church, better schools, better community and a better country.
Yeah.
If that simple thing that Nadette didn't understand, right? That turned her nose up to. Once we get it, it really is a model for us to do just that, what Ephesians 4:20-24 asks us to do, which is
Awesome.
putting those things behind us and renewing our mind. So I'm
Awesome. Thank you.
grateful, appreciative for the time and for meeting you guys. And thank you. I'm excited about the next coaching session. Yes.
Good. Yay.
And I'm truly excited. I'm not saying this on here. I am really excited about the
We are
process.
too. We are too. So thank you again, everyone. And we will see you on the 27th of March at noon Eastern Standard Time. Take care and blessings.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
I choose to only think of thoughts. I choose to only think kind thoughts. I choose to only think right thoughts. Rumor time reflects. When my mind is upset, I can change my mindset. Do not be thrown offset. Rumor time.
The RUMERTIME process, and I came across this quote: behind every behavior is a belief.
Whatever setting you go to, whether you're at church, whether you're at school, whether you may be having
I was
an issue
able
at home.
to analyze a little bit more.
Bringing about real positive
In order for me
changes.
to be effective, I have to be reflective. And this training
I gather an appreciation for reflecting. And I
Take it from just something that's inside to getting it in a tangible form, getting it out from.
Fulfilling and rewarding to see the kids who coming and they sincerely grew, and them they became more reflective in their thinking, to see children grow and not just see but to be a part of it.
What I have learned in camp about rumor time is that it's a process for solving problems we face in our
reduces a lot
lives.
of my stress, and then I begin to enjoy and spend time on the things that really make me happy. And
recommend this training to all age, from kindergarten.
before you do that thing that you'll regret or say that thing.
If you breathe and think, you should have this training. I would recommend this to everyone.